Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with Minnesota entrepreneur and survivor Courtney Lewis. She is a double major in criminal justice and massage therapy. Her father, a Cuban immigrant, was in prison when she was born and spent over 20 of her first 25 years incarcerated. These arrests led her to her first encounter with law enforcement, as well as having a duty weapon pointed at her head when she was 6 years old. Growing up in a very small Minnesota town on the Iowa-Wisconsin border, she was subjected to plenty of things growing up, from sexual assault, domestic violence, drug abuse, overdose, fertility struggles, pregnancy loss, racism, police brutality. There has been so many things, but she's gotten out of it. She's grown. We get into this and so much more. Enjoy this interview.
How are you?
Hey, Joe Dimino, how are you?
I am very well, thank you.
Thanks for taking some time out today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So you have quite a story, and I think probably your nickname says it all, Phoenix. So before we get into that story, I know that over the pandemic you created a pretty popular spot on Facebook, but I'm curious, as far as you as the person, how did you do during that lockdown, and how did it change you now that we're kind of coming out of it and getting back to regular life?
Oh my goodness. Well, the pandemic, I was not very well behaved at all during the pandemic. I was out getting tattoos and running around. The shutdown did not necessarily apply to me as far as I was concerned. But I did end up catching COVID, which humbled me most definitely. And it heightened my depression severely. I was used to traveling. I was constantly going to Florida back and forth with my family. And when I wasn't able to do that, it really took the pep out of my step. And that's really how my group came to be, just really looking for a place for myself, really. It was a selfish thing for the most part, for a place to go, an outlet to kind of be around people. I also had weight loss surgery in August of 2020. And so coming out of that was kind of difficult. I had a really rough recovery after that. I had pulmonary embolisms. I did end up having COVID. It was a really rough year. So coming out of that was a struggle. I lost all use of the lower half of my body for 6 months due to a vitamin deficiency. It was not a good time for me at all. But coming out of it up till now has been a crazy, crazy adventure. The success and overcoming everything has been nothing short of miraculous. Even my doctors have been like, we did not think you were going to make it. And they continue to tell my story to all incoming patients that this is what could happen, and this is nothing short of miraculous.
It seems like, based on what you've lived and witnessed throughout your life, the trauma and adversity, in some ways, do you think that was a part of you that garnered strength because you've been through all of that to get through something like this?
Absolutely. I kind of had this mindset of, I've been through way too much to not keep going and to give up now. There's absolutely nothing that I can't face and overcome after the things that I've already been through. I've come too far to stop here.
Absolutely. So let me get a handle more clearly on what you do and how you do it. I'm going to transport you into the front of a group of third graders at a career day, and one of those kids are going to look up at you and ask you, what do you do for a living and how are you qualified to do it? How are you going to answer them?
What I do is I make people feel good and better about themselves. I have had a very, very difficult life, and I like to make people feel better about the fact that they can make it through anything that they are going through. I like to make people feel happy. I like to make people smile. I like to make people laugh. And I like to make people's days just that much better.
So based on reading your bio, your father was in jail for quite a while, and your childhood was full of quite a bit of smoke from, hiding from the police, having a gun pulled on you, sexual abuse, lots of things. So
Yeah.
I'm curious right now, you could give a verbal synopsis of your childhood, and you're in a small town in Minnesota, but I'm curious at this point in your life, with being, the nickname of the Phoenix and overcoming, how you now as an adult dealt with all of that and what bridges you crossed to rectify those things that have happened.
I have actually used my resiliency to just kind of come to terms with what I've been through and use it as a learning experience. I have this motto of, may the bridges I burn light my way. I don't have a relationship with my father any longer. I've kind of just learned that he is who he is, and I can't change that. I can't change anybody. I can't change the things that I've been through. I have to accept my experiences for what they are and the people who are involved for who they are. And the best thing that I can do is use all of those things as stepping stones to a better, brighter future for myself. And I can either hold on and hurt myself in the process, or I can burn those bridges and, like I said, light my way to a better, brighter future.
Well said. So, with all of this that you've gone through in your life, probably one of the things I would think that would have pulled you through this is having good role models or heroes or mentors. Who have those been for you in your life?
Honestly, this is going to sound kind of crazy, but I actually have role models in the sense of people that I did not want to be like. For the longest time, I always looked up to my aunt, and it was more so in the sense of that's exactly who I did not want to be like. From the time this is going to sound even more crazy, but I can remember things in vivid detail as far back from the time I was 2 years old. And my mother confirmed all of that. She would always say, how do you remember that? You were 2 years old when we lived there, when this happened. And my aunt would always tell me, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to strangle you. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to do this. And she would always tell me she fell in love with somebody because he had a triple beam scale for drugs, or he was this type of drug dealer or whatever. And I always looked up to her, and I was like, that's exactly the type of person I don't want to be. Or my mother's severe depression to the point where our home became a hoarding situation. Or my grandmother, because she was the type of person where our family's image was more important than healing our family traumas or getting help for our mental illnesses. And I was like, I just want to be that person that breaks these generational cycles and these curses and makes a better future for the future generations. And so that was more so where my head was at. I had people that I didn't want to be like rather than people I did want to be like.
Wow, that's a very wise statement for sure. So I am curious, the one thing that was probably pretty key throughout the pandemic, I think it was magnified, was, having good books or art or things that would distract us, film or whatever. And in your life, what was that for you? What was an album? What was a book? What was something along those lines that really kind of carried you through it?
Music was definitely my jam. Kehlani was a major artist that got me through, and to this day I actually have huge prints of her throughout my living room. I actually got tickets to see her virtually for my birthday, for my 31st birthday, and just her vibe, her energy, her style, everything about her just really carried me through the pandemic. It raised my spirits. It gave me hope. It gave me confidence. It really carried me through. It gave me inspiration for tattoos, which I ended up getting during the actual shutdown. I went to a tattoo artist's home and in his bedroom was getting tattoos inspired by Kehlani. So that was definitely something. We painted our windows with messages of hope, so that way anybody who was out driving around during the shutdown was able to see just inspiring messages to just give them a little boost throughout their day, things like that. We did gardening. We did educational books just to try to keep our brains fresh because schools were shut down, things like that. So just anything to try to keep us on our toes.
So, a lot of what you've described in your life up to this point could possibly sound as though it could be a movie. So tell me who would play you. What would the movie play out? What would it be like?
Honestly, I would hope, for my age now, I would hope Queen Latifah. She's just got the fun, spunky energy, but she also has this versatile passion where she can be volatile, she can be angry, she can be emotional. I feel like my life has gone from laughter to tears to anger to rage. There were a lot of times where I was angry, I was resentful, I was bitter, I was violent. I was out of control for a long time. But now I'm in a place of peace. I'm in a place where I have made my amends to the people that I needed to make amends to. I'm in a place of calm. I'm in a place of hard work and dedication and motivation and ambition. And I feel like she could cover all of those bases.
So talk to me a little bit about every day you wake up. We all have things that we do with our lives. We have things that we look forward to that motivate us. What about you? What is it about your life every day when you wake up? What is it that motivates you the most?
My biggest motivation, honestly, is getting on Facebook and checking my group for my unladies, as we so affectionately call ourselves. I have been naughty. I've been to Facebook jail more times than I care to admit, so I don't get notifications for my group anymore, unfortunately. But I love getting to the group. I love checking and seeing what everybody's up to for the day, what kind of advice people are looking for, what kind of good news everybody's looking to share, what kind of needs everybody's looking to have met. It's just a place where everybody comes. It really is a sisterhood. It really is, where we all come together. And by the time I'm waking up at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, there's well over 60 posts just from the last couple of hours. And I love just checking in and seeing what my sisters have to say for the morning. So that's really my biggest ambition and goal for the morning to tackle.
So if we talk in 5 years from now, give me an idea of what you're looking forward to. What do you want to accomplish?
I want to accomplish, let's see. I would love to just get to a place of success. Now, success is different for everybody. Now, success for me looks like taking care of my mother. She was somebody that I was not at all very nice to when I was growing up. Like I said, I was violent. I was out of control. I was full of anger and bitterness and resentment. And she took the brunt of that. And she went through a lot of pain seeing me go through incarceration, drug addiction, homelessness. Oh my gosh, let me stop. I don't want to cry. I apologize. She really did struggle the most throughout all of my phases, and I would like to just get to a place where she doesn't have to struggle anymore, where I can take care of her and I can repay her for everything that she's ever done for me, where she can live comfortably. And I would like to see success for the Unladylike Lounge. I would like to see that become something where we can reach even more women throughout the world who need a safe place to vent, where they have a safe place to be unapologetically and authentically themselves. I don't care about the money, as long as I can just take care of my mother and just reach as many women as I possibly can to have a safe space. That's really all I care about.
So based on what you've lived throughout your life, if you have a dream tonight, you run into your younger version of yourself, and you could give that younger version a piece of advice based on what you've learned throughout your life, what would you tell your younger version?
I would definitely tell her that out of her vulnerability will come her strength. She was definitely afraid to be vulnerable. She was afraid to be, quote unquote, weak. She was afraid to be open. She was afraid to seek value in herself. She was always looking for validation in other people. And I would just let her know that it's okay to be vulnerable. It is okay, because that is where she will find her strength.
So everyone has a perception of you, an idea of who they think you are, your family, your friends, everybody that you run into. But ultimately, you live your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I'm just this class clown that doesn't take life too seriously, but is not afraid to seize the day. I think that's exactly who I am. I know when to be serious, but for the most part, I am just a class clown.
So if anybody out there wants to learn more about you and what you do, where's the best place for them to go on the web?
Definitely the Unladylike Lounge on Facebook. Otherwise, we do have the unladylikelounge.com. That is where we have our store, our podcast episodes. Our blog is in the works, but the website is far from finished. So I would definitely recommend the Unladylike Lounge on Facebook.
Beautiful. This has been wonderful. Hey, thank you for opening up. Good luck with everything.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, and music around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.